I'm looking forward to the very first item on this show. What an honour to welcome this morning the great Queen legend, Brian May. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning. You're very kind, Kevin. Thank you.
It's very kind of you to come onto the show. Before we start, let's have a listen to your new single. Wow, that's got some guts to it, hasn't it?
It does. That's a lot of balls, doesn't it? I love it. I have four very powerful singers.
Yeah. So
it's a lot of fun.
Produced and joined by Brian May. I'm a woman. You're not the woman. Tell us about your female accomplices who are belting out that song with such style.
Yeah, I'm just the accoutrement, really. Yeah, the enabler, if you like. But yeah, four amazing women. Firstly, Maz Murray, whose project it really is, because she's doing it in memory of her dear friend Rebecca Gibbs, who she lost a few years ago to breast cancer. So, this is in aid of breast cancer. So Maz is an amazing singer, and she was one of our original Killer Queens when we had our 12-year run at the Dominion Theatre. So Maz is amazing. Kerry Ellis, who I've worked with for years and years now, who also was in We Will Rock You in the early days, playing Meat, created the role of Meat, who's an incredible singer. And I have Maz Murray's sister, Gina, who's incredible, and Anna Jane Casey, who's another kind of member of the family, really. So we had a big laugh doing it, and it just feels great. I just wish I could get it played, so I'm very grateful to you for playing it today.
Is it not getting played by people then? Why not?
Well, not really. I mean, astonishingly enough, Radio 2 refuses, I only just realised this, refuses to play any charity record except for the BBC Children in Need one.
You are kidding, Brian. You're kidding.
Apparently it's true. I was absolutely flabbergasted, because really, I would have thought if I was in that position, all that matters is how good is the music,
But also, Brian, I think that, let's cut to the chase. This is for a very, very important cause. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Obviously, you're doing this just to get awareness out there, and this is supporting the Target Ovarian Cancer and the Karen Keating Foundation. To be honest with you, I think the BBC should be playing this single, partly because of what I just heard. It's a very good single.
I feel very good about it. Yeah, I've been in this business a long time. I know a good record when I hear it, and I think it fits the bill. Yeah, it's and it's full of joy and humour and wit, which you don't get much of these days, and I'm grateful to you also, because you don't get much free speech these days either, but on your programme you do.
Yes, this is the home of free speech, we like to say that.
Yeah, totally.
So this one side is obviously the track we just heard. On the other side, you do an instrumental version?
Yes, it's the karaoke version, because we like to encourage people to sing. That's been a Queen thing for a long time. But we're also going to run a competition for the person who does the best, sends us in the best version of the song which they've done themselves to the backing track. So that's a bit of fun as well.
Now tell us about the world's pinkest pink guitar that you're playing in the video.
Yeah, well, it's a very pink thing, this, You have to be a real man to play pink, So I have a guitar company. I made my own guitar. I don't know if you know, many, many years ago with my dad.
Yes,
and now I have a guitar company, a small guitar company, which makes replicas of that guitar. So I said to them, you got to make me a pinkest of all pinks guitar for this project. And they said, yeah, okay, we can do it. It's going to take us about 10 weeks. And I said, no, it's going to take you a week and a half, because that's when we're filming this thing. And they managed to do it. So I'm thrilled that they had it there for me. The corollary, the end thing, is I'm going to auction it for the charities as well. So we're going to find a way. We're just figuring out how to do that to get the most money for it. But it'll be another little way of adding to these fantastic causes which really do need supporting.
Absolutely. So it's a great single, and it's for a great cause. And I think that the BBC, if anyone's listening from that august organisation, it's about time they changed their little rules and played this single, because it deserves to be out there just from the strength of the music, but because of the cause, that makes it a double reason to play it. I can't believe they're not doing that.
It's weird.
It is. Well, look, I wish you all the best with that, Brian.
Thank you, Kevin.
I was reading up about you last night. I didn't realise you waited, 33 years to get your astrophysics doctorate?
I think it was about that long, yeah.
So
there was a bit of a gap in the middle when I was doing something else.
Yes. So you were at Imperial College, a place that's very much in the news lately, studying astrophysics. Along came a little band that distracted you for a while from your studies, namely Queen. But was it always in the back of your mind, I must finish that doctorate sometime?
You know, it was. In a way, it was unfinished business, and I always had a passion for astronomy right alongside the passion for music, and there was always that kind of yearning feeling, wouldn't it be nice? But I thought it was impossible, to be honest. It was Patrick Moore, my wonderful mentor and kind of surrogate uncle, who persuaded me. He said, "Oh, Brian, you can do it, you know." And I said, "Patrick, I can't. My brain's gone. I've been playing music, and my brain's in a different place now." He said, "No, you can do it. You can go back there." And I started talking about it in an interview on the radio, very much like we are now.
Yeah.
And I got a call from the head of astrophysics at Imperial College, the new professor of astrophysics, Professor Michael Rowan Robinson. And he said, "If you're serious about this, you can come back here and I will be your supervisor and you can finish off your PhD."
Wow. Did you enjoy doing that?
It was so hard. You know, 3 distinct times I thought to myself, I have to give up. I cannot do this. I think that's the nature of PhDs. They have to make it hard for you. And, of course, I was very visible, so my supervisor couldn't make it easy for me because everyone would have attacked him and said, he's made it easy because he's a rock star. So it was really tough, and I gave up a year of my life totally to doing it. I gave up everything. All I could do was focus on this PhD thesis, which I resurrected from 30 years ago.
Now, this is an unusual show business interview. We don't usually go to these kind of areas, but I think am I right, your topic, your subject was zodiacal dust?
Yes, indeed.
Tell us just briefly, if you can, what zodiacal dust is. I gather it's such an esoteric area of astronomy that no one else had really touched the subject in the 33 years that you were off wasting your time playing music.
Yeah, esoteric is probably a compliment, actually. It was actually really a backwater. Nobody was that interested in that period where I wasn't there, which is curious. But what happened was, zodiacal dust is basically the dust from which the solar system forms, and it's continually created and sucked into the sun, so it's continually replenished. But in the days when I started, not much was known about it. There's a bit of research done, and what I did was look for the motions of the dust to figure out which way it was rotating and where it was coming from, hopefully, etc., etc. So 30 years later, it's been really not that much talked about, but suddenly we're discovering exoplanets, exosolar systems, solar systems, planets revolving around other suns, other stars, and suddenly it's realized all these solar systems have their own zodiacal dust clouds. And how can we study those dust clouds? Well, let's go and study our own one. It's right on our doorstep. So suddenly my subject became kind of, not exactly trendy, but it became definitely of interest and a sort of hot subject. So I was very lucky.
Maybe in years to come you will not be remembered as the amazing Queen guitarist, but the man who put zodiacal dust on the map.
Maybe so. Yeah, maybe so. It's interesting. I thought I saw dust coming from outside the solar system, which was a little bit of a sort of a risque thing to say at the time. It was a kind of a heresy. And my supervisor said, "Don't publish that." This is 40 years ago now. He said, "Don't publish it because people are going to laugh at you." But now we know that material does come into our solar system from outside, from interstellar space. So I kind of wish I'd published that. But, some things are meant to be.
Yes, indeed. Events overtook your life. Obvious question. I think the most remarkable thing one of the most remarkable things about Queen is that how you managed to, if you like, resurrect the band and continue without Freddie Mercury. Did you ever think you could achieve that?
No, we very consciously didn't. And we had this feeling that if one of us went, then the band was over. And for years, I went around driving around the country and other countries too and thinking, if I saw an arena thinking, oh yeah, we used to do that, never going to do that again. And actually, it wasn't my intention or Roger's to go back to it. But things happened. I bumped into Paul Rogers, who was a hero of mine, and we did a gig together.
From Free, you mean? Paul Rogers from Free?
Sorry? Paul
Rogers from Free. Is that the guy?
Exactly, yeah. Who's not that much older than me, but definitely a hero.
Yeah, me too.
So to cut a very long story short, we ended up going out on tour with him, sort of Queen plus Paul Rogers, and it felt great. It came to a natural end. And again, we thought, okay, we don't need to do this anymore. We've done it, and it wouldn't be right to keep on doing it. Anyway, along comes this guy called Adam Lambert.
Yes.
And suddenly, it's a no-brainer. He can do everything that we need a frontman to do. He's not imitating Freddie, but he's very much a sort of parallel talent in terms of his expertise as a singer. So, cut a long story short, out we went, and I think it's now 8 years that we've been together touring, and we just put out this live album, as you possibly know, which is highlights from all that 8 years together, all around the world. So it's Queen live around the world, and it was a number one album, I'm happy to say. Who would have thought?
Very deservedly so. I'm sure Freddie would be thrilled that Queen are still going strong. But I took part in a documentary recently about Queen, and it occasioned me to have to go through lots and lots of footage of Freddie Mercury. What a remarkable performer. The like of which I think the world has rarely seen. What was it like standing next to that human dynamo during those shows?
Challenging and always entertaining.
What do you mean by challenging? What do you mean by that?
Well, he's a very unpredictable guy, but wonderful to work with. He had a great spatial awareness, and that's something very important. If you're working with people on a stage, you need to have the sort of musical contact, but you also need the kind of physical chemistry going on, the awareness of where you are and where you're aiming your energy. And Freddie was wonderful for that, and we just clicked from the very beginning. From the days when he was very much a sort of trainee singer, but he had all the presentation. He had that connection, and it was his amazing kind of skill that he managed to bring himself up to the point where he was using his talent to the best end. He really did work on himself. He's an incredible kind of self-made man, Freddie, I would say.
Do you miss him?
Yeah, of course, every day. Yeah.
It's a terrible thing when something like that happens, but I think it's great that the band picked themselves up and carried on, because you had earned. The number of records you sold, the concerts you sold out, you'd earned a reputation, you'd earned millions and millions of fans, and I'm sure they're thrilled that you're still going. What was the high point? Can you remember any particular moment with Freddie that is the high point of the Queen and Mercury years?
Well, you'd have to say Live Aid.
I was there. Yeah, I remember.
You were there? My God. Yeah, and it was so strange kind of reliving it for the movie recently. They recreated it so incredibly faithfully. And to be there on that set was really spine-chilling. It brought it all back. And, at the time, we weren't aware of what an epoch-making thing it was, really. We came off and thought, that went kind of okay, but we didn't realise that it had made such a kind of lasting impression on the ether, because it sort of lives on, doesn't it? And
it really does. Every band at Live Aid sort of stepped up to the plate, but Queen, if I can put it this way, stepped up to the plate more than anyone else, I think. That's the gig, that's the set that everybody remembers, and I remember it was very, very spellbinding. My particular story of that event was I was working for a newspaper covering that concert, and I was given this rare thing that we'd never heard of before called a mobile phone. And I literally had to have like a rucksack on my back full of these huge bricks, which were the batteries. And when I stopped to use this massive phone, a crowd gathered around me and said, "What is this man doing?" And then it had about 4 minutes power, but proving that those were very, very different days. Listen, Brian, what a pleasure to talk to you. Congratulations on your doctorate. Congratulations on your remarkable career. And how can people get hold of I'm a Woman? What's the best way to do that? And how can they help the Target Ovarian Cancer and the Karen Keating Foundation?
Well, one way is to go to my Instagram. If you do Instagram or my website, brianmay.com, you'll find links there. I have a new thing in my Instagram called a slink.
Oh, what's that?
Well, Instagram are very crafty. They don't like you to leave Instagram. And so you can only put one link in your bio, in your biography on Instagram. So it's been a real pain in the neck for a long time. But this friend of mine had a very simple but brilliant idea. He makes a multiple link which goes in your link, which goes in your bio.
Right.
But it's like it fans out to anything you want. So if you go to my link, you can find all the links that I want to put up there.
Okay.
And so you'll find the woman link there, and there's a place to donate to the charities, and also to buy the record, or to link to it and see it on YouTube, etc.
Well, I hope a few people have heard it, and I hope they buy it, because it's, as I said earlier, I think it's worth it musically, but it's also worth it for the very good cause that you've given your time and effort to, Brian. Brian, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck with the single and your studies. Take care. That's Brian May there, legendary guitarist of Queen. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan, and this is Talk Radio.